Hello students, this is me Saurav Barui. I am making this recording for the students of class 5 for the subject of social science. The students, as I have already given you the question and answers for this particular chapter after this question number C, and the next day, that is the day after tomorrow it is a Republic Day, so the day after tomorrow I'll be giving you the question and answers of this and this. Today let me just briefly tell you about the chapter here. The name of the chapter is United Nation. The United Nations. Normally, the students, the United Nations is often abbreviated as the UN. Okay, it is an international organization and it has total 193 member countries. This particular organization was formed after the Second World War. After the Second World War. Okay. Now, what was the reason behind the formation of this? The main reason behind the formation of UN was to avoid any war. I mean, any future world war actually. Okay. World war is a war where most of the countries, especially the big countries of the world, are engaged in a war with themselves. So, what is the reason behind the formation of the United Nations? The main reason, as I have already told you just now, that it is to avoid any warlike situation in the future. And how to do that? Okay, let me erase this. Okay. Now, in any war, students, it doesn't matter which party, if they just suppose Mr. A and Mr. B, they are fighting with one another. Now, if they fight with one another, it doesn't matter whether Mr. A wins the fight or Mr. B. But what is for sure is that both of them will get hurt. Yes or no, students? If you fight among yourself, then it doesn't matter who wins the particular fight, but both of you get hurt. In the same manner, students, when the nations of the world or the countries of the world, they fight with one another, it doesn't matter who wins the war, but losses are suffered by both the sides. Now, why does any country would want to get engaged in a war? Well, the story goes back to 5 centuries from now, when the Industrial Revolution took place. Industrial Revolution is simple, in very simple terms, students. Earlier, there was a time when everything was manufactured manually, that is by using labors. But the invention of machines, large machines that were capable of manufacturing the goods at a very high speed, were developed. Then more amount of goods were able to be manufactured at a very short period of time, and not only that, those goods manufactured by the machine were also cheaper. That is, you had to pay less amount of money to acquire them. So if someone wants to produce more amount of goods, then in order to produce anything, students, raw materials are required. Take the example of the biscuits that you eat. All the biscuits are made of generally wheat flour or refined wheat flour. In local language we call it atta, and for refined wheat flour we call it maida. Okay, now if you have to produce more and more biscuits, then what will you require? You will require more and more wheat or refined wheat flour. Okay, so this wheat flour or refined wheat flour is the raw material for manufacturing biscuits. In the same manner, students, all the commodities that we see around us today require some form of raw material to get produced. Plus, if you are producing large amount of biscuits, take the example, then you will also need a market, that is people, to sell those biscuits, so as you will earn your profit. Okay, so because of these two things, the European countries where the Industrial Revolution took place, they started looking forward, or they were started exploring the world for the search of first raw materials, and for the second one is the market to sell their products. And this exploration or competition gave rise to the conflicts in Europe, especially here some countries, European countries just like England, France, Portugal, Netherlands. Okay, they started exploring other countries, and they generally went to where? Africa, Asia, North and South America for trade, and slowly established their colonies there. Colony, students, it simply means that one country is being controlled by another country, and the country which is controlling, say suppose take the example of India under British rule. Okay, now in the world map, student, India is far away from England. Okay, now although this England is very far away from India, but even then it was ruling India from there. So when one country, that is in this case England, rules over another distant country, then this distant country, that is in this case India, is known as a colony of the first country, that is England. Now in the next class, students, I'll tell you a detailed explanation of this chapter in the form of slides, just like I have taught you the previous chapter. Thank you.